Hi guys, happy Saturday. Greetings from my kitchen. This is a weird setup. I actually have the camera perched up on like my windowsill right in front of my kitchen sink. I'm not about to do the dishes yet. I'm cooking right now. It's been a crazy day. I just got home from work. I texted my son to see if he wanted to come over tonight. Well, it was supposed to be tomorrow. But I said, what are you doing tonight? Because he's getting ready to go back to college tomorrow. Spring break's over, which I can't believe how fast that was. And he's such a busy kid and such a social person. He has a lot of friends that getting an audience with him is like getting an audience with the Pope, as they say. So instead of tomorrow morning, where I know he'd be really pressed for time, I wound up not working tonight. I worked 8 to 4 today. I was absolutely elated to find out I wasn't needed at that other site. Oh my God, I had such a shift today. I can't even tell you. My head is killing me. My thoughts and my mind is all over the place. But long story short, which I don't know how to do, I said, what are you doing tonight? And I figured he'd be busy, you know, his last night before going back to school. And he said nothing. And then I said, why don't you come over for dinner or we'll go out to dinner? And lo and behold, he said, oh, that works out a lot better. That's great. And then he went ahead and invited his dad, which I had mixed feelings about. You know, nothing against the three of us being together, but I love to just be with him one-on-one. You know, the saying three's a crowd is actually very true. It's just very nice. It's incredibly nice. I could almost cry right now. Being with my son is like a sacred place for me. I love that kid, that young man, so much. I mean, I love my daughter too. I love them equally, but different. And she's my pride and joy. He's my pride and joy. Anyway, enough of that. He's coming over in a half an hour. I wound up making reservations for 3 at a local Italian restaurant. And then his dad bowed out, which I wound up being kind of relieved about. So I changed the reservations for 2 people. And then I called my son back and I said, you know what? Just come to my house. I'm so stressed. I don't want any more noise. I don't want to sit in a noisy, crowded restaurant. I want to chill at home and we'll just order a pizza or something, or I'll make you something. You know, he's an easy person. You know, I'm making Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits, which we're either going to eat tonight or I'll send him a nice bag of those off as a little care package snack on his way back to school, which is a very long drive for him. And I might make some salmon, or we'll just get a pizza. So I'm really psyched about that. And, ooh, as a matter of fact, let me get those out of the oven. I'll be right back. Talk about casual. You get to look at my messy table. Whoops. I don't want to burn my biscuits. Oh my God, they're flipping perfect. I gotta hold one of these up and show you guys. Can you see that? Can you see the perfection? That is a Red Lobster homemade, Cheddar Bay biscuit. It smells so good. I love cooking, you guys. It's not just because I'm a foodie. I love the whole ritual and process of cooking and serving food, especially to people I love. I know I'm not alone in that, but so I'll put those on a nice platter, and I have this melted butter with herbs mixed in it. Look at my grays coming out in the sunlight here. It is a beautiful day here in New York. It started off snowy and horrible this morning, and then the sun came out and it was cold, but now the sun's out and it's nicer. It's still windy, but I'm very excited that he's coming over. And I also wanted to say I had a lot of thoughts about Amberlyn Reed, and you know, not really just her, but kind of like the whole situation and the whole societal. How do I even put this? It's like a microcosm. Like her life is something that makes you look at bigger problems in society, if that makes sense. And especially, oh my God, again, I'm sorry to sound so like ingratiating to you, Sabina. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or embarrass you at all, but I always just value your words and thoughts so much. It makes me feel validated. It makes me feel like I've found my tribe, you know. You make so much sense to me all the time. But I came home headachy and tired and grumpy, and I have a lot of cleaning up and stuff here to do. But when I listened to your, recap, your reaction to Amberlynn Reid's struggles, and then I followed it up. I listened on my way home from work. Then I followed it up with your weekly update. I was just like, I got my energy back from it, like from your words, because I just, I felt like cheering, like, yes, yes, girl. Like, it's so, you touched on the whole ageism thing with YouTube, and I have so many thoughts about that. And not just because I'm like defending my age or the fact that I'm a grandmother, but the idea that in this day and age, you're supposed to somehow shrink down and be ashamed or embarrassed about something as absolutely beautiful as being an older, mature woman and a grandmother. Listen, I'm a grandma now of two incredibly cherubic, blonde, blue-eyed grandsons, okay? I don't want to show pictures or anything like that because it's like a privacy issue, but trust me, they're gorgeous, and they're loving, and they're healthy, and they're sweet, and they're friendly, and they're intelligent, and I could go on and on. I mean, everybody brags about their kids, right? And their grandkids, but the idea that these, pardon my French, but these fucking pipsqueaks and whippersnappers, young people, whatever that even means, you know, the 18 to maybe 32-year-old crowd, I'm generalizing, but how they love to put us in our place by calling us grandma, or making fun of our weight, or our wrinkles, or the fact that we're smoking, or maybe we don't have a sex life anymore, or, you know, we're old, like this is the world's biggest insult to have gray hair, or to be over 50, or God forbid be over 40, you know, in the YouTube sphere of things, is beyond ridiculous to me. It's beyond ludicrous. It makes me angry, not as a personal affront, because I'm extremely proud of my every wrinkle, my every year, my every gray hair, and my every opinion and experience, which is hard-earned, well-earned, and not always right. I'm not some kind of a wise sage, you know, soothsayer. You know, I'm not sitting up on a mountaintop somewhere, but I'll be goddamned if I'm ever going to apologize to some asshole 20-year-old who's telling me to sit down and shut up because I've got gray hair and I'm a grandma. First of all, here's the hole in that argument. If you're going to insult someone for being a grandma, why don't you ask yourself, how would you feel if somebody was fucking insulting your grandmother? Whatever happened to respecting your elders? Whatever happened to realizing that when people have lived a certain amount of time, their opinions are actually pretty damn valid. They're pretty tried and true, you know? And everyone should be so lucky to get older in this world. Because guess what? Today's March 23rd, right? I thought about this several times today. I woke up this morning and I wrote a couple poems and a couple essays. My father died on this day 39 years ago. Okay, I was 13, he was 38. He came home from work with a pale pallor to his skin. He said his heart hurt and he was sweaty, and my mom, you know, whisked him away into the bedroom and told him to lay down and this and that. And I'm a very, very empathic person, and I was instantly terrified and very anxious. But I also knew that he had had angina since he was 35, and being a kid, I mean, I didn't think he was going to die. I thought he had heart pains like other people have headaches, you know, and he took nitroglycerin and he would put it under his tongue, and he would go to his doctor, and his doctor would tell him to lose weight and cut his cholesterol and clean up his diet and quit smoking and quit drinking. He never thought all that would catch up to him at 38. Nobody was more surprised than him, and nobody was more hurt and shocked and surprised than us, his family. I basically watched him. I didn't watch him actually perish in front of me, but my mother waited way too long to get him to the hospital, which was close to our house. And to this day, I feel very bad that an ambulance wasn't called immediately, but she probably thought it was just a bad angina attack. My mother, also being the cult person that she was busy praying over him and things like this. To make a long story short, because I do have to get a few things done before my son comes, they went to the hospital and I never saw my father alive again. The next time I saw him was at the funeral home I had never seen a dead body before, and I lost it. I had almost like a complete breakdown, like a nervous breakdown in the funeral parlor, and I was so distraught and so hysterical that I made it to the memorial service, but not the actual funeral, not the burial. I stayed back with my cousins. It was too much. And it was particularly hard because there was such a schism and such a rift between the families because of my mother's beliefs and because of moving us from Massachusetts to Connecticut because of the cult. And I realize that's a backstory here that I have not yet gotten completely into with you guys, which I kept promising to do. But I'm trying to sort of gird my loins for that story. And then you'll really know why I am the way I am. Kind of crazy, but kind of wise, you know. My point is, he died. I was 13. He was 38. That was 39 years ago to this day. And I was such a, you know, as a 13-year-old, I wasn't an asshole, but like, I thought 38 was middle-aged. I thought that was old. You know what I mean? So for these 20 and early 30-something people to think that we're old in our 50s and we should just shut up and do what? Knit a sweater? Go play bingo? I mean, what do they think that people do? I work more than full-time. I run my own house, and I've raised 2 children on my own from 2 failed marriages, and now I have 2 grandchildren. You know, I write poetry, I listen to music, I try to contribute to society as best I can. I work in a human care capacity field, underpaid, of course, and very sort of dismissed by people who think that we're the absolute, you know, bottom rung level of healthcare. I beg to differ. There's a lot of people who could not do my job. There's a lot of people who couldn't do my job. So I'm proud of it. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of my children. I'm proud of all that I've learned, every wrinkle that I've earned, as I said. And I honor and mourn my father today, who, listen, old age is a privilege denied to many people. It was denied to my dad. I'll never let anyone disrespect me. So far, there haven't been many comments like that, but I know there have been a few. But if I have to go through a lot of deletions or blocking, I will. Doesn't mean I'm a coward. It means I'm not going to accept that in my space. My channel is my space, you know. And respect is in such short supply in this world these days. There's a lot of people that might look at us and say we don't respect Amberlynn Reed. It's not true. I respect her as a human being, and I'm disappointed that she doesn't respect herself. And all we're trying to do, for the most part, I would say 80% of us reactioners, whatever you want to call us, or frankly, me, just who has an opinion. Wow, that outside cat looks like mine, but it's too thin to be mine. That's crazy. That looks like my cat, but it's not. No, my cats are inside. I'm sorry. That looks just like my cat. Sorry, guys. This is getting really long. 13 minutes. Where the hell was I? Amberlynn Reed. Oh, she's just full of shit, and she needs to respect herself, and then maybe she won't be on her way to dying. She's very glib and laissez-faire about the whole thing because she's 28, but she's only 10 years younger than my father was, and my father wasn't 600 pounds. He was about 270 and 6'2". So he wasn't even really, like, gigantic. He was fat, but he was a tall, big, burly guy, you know, Irish and German. And my mom's Italian and Scottish, Welsh, and American Indian. I digress again. I got to do these dishes and cancel that reservation and order a pizza or something. So yeah, I get my Irish up and my Taurus anger up a little bit at people who disrespect their elders. And I don't even consider myself an elder. I'm 52. I consider myself middle-aged. And what Sabina said about like how we're not running around being ruled by our hormones or by having the latest gadget or looking a certain way or, you know, knowing the latest video game or, I mean, I'm really a nerd. Like there's so many things I have no idea about with modern technology. It took me a year to figure out how my Fire Stick worked. You know, I still don't know how to interface anything with my computer. I'm really dense when it comes to all that shit. But I can write really great poetry and I know a lot of big words. Now I sound like Donald Trump, who I hate. I have a good vocabulary, and I'll never downplay my intelligence. I'll never dumb myself down to make anybody else feel better about themselves. And I'll never not play up my attributes. I'm very humble, and I have a sense of humor about the things I know that I don't like about myself. But I'll never be falsely humble about the things that make me a special, worthwhile human being. And Amberlynn Reid is a special, worthwhile human being, but she doesn't know that, which is why she's willing to eat herself to death. And not only that, take a lot of people along for the ride. You know, it's just wrong. It's unconscionable. And I was thinking to myself today, just from a really logistical, pragmatic point of view, how costly it is to be her size. For the fire department, if they have to get her out of some space that she's stuck in, or if she falls, you know, God forbid there was a fire in their home and she had to scramble or run to get out of some place. You know, my ex-husband was at 9/11. He was a firefighter. And one of the biggest problems was in obese people trying to exit and run down the street, and the people that were falling because of obesity. And I even read a magazine article written by a guy that lost a ton of weight after that disaster, because he realized that, forget about things like health and how you look aside, you know, aesthetics. It's such a liability to your basic functioning as a human being to not be able to get around or move or walk or get in a car or bathe yourself. I mean, just my mind kind of boggles, because I know at my top weight of 294, 295 really, I know what my limitations were. I couldn't ride on rides at the amusement park with my daughter. I'd get really winded walking. I couldn't really go on hikes. I'd sort of, you know, participate in things, but it was at a real penalty to how my knees felt and my back and my feet, and I was out of breath, and it made me feel very old before my time. And even just losing 40 or 50 or 60 pounds, or at the height of my success, it was like 88, 89 pounds. And I've, you know, gone up and down since then. This may well be my longest video. And here I am saying I was going to make this quick. And I did it all without a cigarette, guys. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I have a lot of opinions and thoughts in my mind today. But that's kind of the main stuff. I wanted to talk about my dad to you guys a little bit. He was a wonderful man. He had a wonderful voice and he was a great singer, and he was just warm and funny, and I miss him every day, you know, and maybe he wouldn't have gotten heart disease so young had he taken better care of himself. So when Amberlynn Reid laughs and stuffs her face and calls us honey and boo-boo and thinks she knows better, it pisses me off on a deeply personal level, you know. And I'm still fat, but guess what? I'm aware of it every day, and with every meal choice I make, and with every bite I put in my mouth. I know that there's choice and consequences to everything I do. And that if I eat a biscuit or two tonight, I can't have, you know, extra toast tomorrow, or a bowl of cereal, or, you know, I'm very good at making it all kind of come out even at the end. You know, I feel pretty in control these days. I will do a weigh-in on Wednesday and let you know how that's all going. But none of that makes me feel like a hypocrite. Like Sabina said, I can be fat and still talk about Amberlynn Reid being 600 pounds and being a liar. I can smoke, but say that like I've cut way, way down, you know. I mean, I can walk 2 miles around the lake without being winded and out of breath. And believe me, my job is very physical. And that was another thing I was thinking of, you know. I've worked in healthcare long enough and dealt with human beings' bodies long enough to know that when you're trying to bathe somebody who's in a hospital or a rest home who's obese, and you're trying to get all the fungal infections, get medication on all those skin folds, and basic hygiene becomes severely compromised at anything over like 300, 350 pounds, you know, mobility. You know, what kind of a wheelchair would Amberlynn Reid fit in? You know, everything would have to be handicapped accessible for her size. You know, I'm going to end here. I could dramatize and soliloquize, do a soliloquy about this for an hour, but I want to vacuum my my living room rug and put some laundry away before my beloved boy comes here and graces me with his handsome presence for hopefully several hours. And then tonight, I will go out and do my laundry. I'm making that commitment to you guys. And tomorrow I have the whole day free. And I'm going to make that roast and just relax. I might stay in my pajamas all day. Self-care, you know? I love you guys. Thank you for listening to this long, rambling, all over the place video. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.